Story 1. For me, it's when my house becomes dirty and unorganized. My dishes start to pile up, my dirty laundry is left on the floor, and the trash can is overflowing. Normally, I stay on top of these tasks daily and weekly, but sometimes I can sense that a depressive episode is approaching based on the state of my home. Story 2. One thing I notice about myself is that I stop listening to music. All I want to hear is silence, and nothing more. Story 3. They stopped reaching out as much. A friend of mine thanked me for being a source of annoyance when he ceased to communicate. It saved his life. Story 4. I can't motivate myself to do simple things around the house that I usually don't mind doing when I'm feeling well. I don't want to see anyone. I don't want to answer the phone. I don't want to participate in any activities. I just want time to stand still. Story 5. I haven't left my room except to go to work or eat. I usually wait until no one is around to eat. Story 6. My business math teacher used to come to school looking like he got dressed under his desk. One morning I will never forget, he wore two different shoes, a black dress shoe and a light brown shoe, which were also on the wrong feet. He had a half-tucked shirt, messy hair, and a stain on the neck of his shirt. His excuse for looking like that was, "I got dressed in the dark this morning and picked up the wrong shoes and accidentally grabbed a dirty shirt." As a teenager, I thought, he's a messy person. But as I got older, I realized he might have been going through a bad divorce, which he didn't handle well. I still think about him and wonder what really happened. Story 7. Not wanting to be alive but not wanting to be dead, just wanting to be nowhere. To exist in a dark void with no emotions to feel. Story 8. Sadly, high-functioning depression doesn't scream. There is little to no way that reveals it. We come home and cry in the shower every day. Story 9. I knew I had slipped back, but this thread really quantified for me how far I had fallen. I need to do something about it all. But what, how, and why? Story 10. They suddenly become very generous, acting completely differently. They are always willing to spend time with others, are cheerful, and buy gifts or give away items when they normally would not have done so before. Unless they are moving, it is likely they are planning to leave this earth soon, and this may be their final goodbyes. Story 11. Very few observable signs are mentioned here, so I will list some. 1. Drastic weight gain or loss. If you see someone and think they are really letting themselves go, it is probably mental and not physical. Drastic change in appearance. Did they shave their head? Did they stop shaving, and now their beard looks messy? Do they look stressed out? Change in hygiene. Did they stop brushing their teeth? Do you notice a lot of dandruff on someone who would normally be meticulous? Higher hurdle for humor. Is it harder to make this person laugh? Does this person not joke around anymore? Generally speaking, a healthy person has their life together. They maintain good hygiene, dress well, work hard on their goals, and are social with friends and family. A person can be suffering inside, and that might not cross the threshold into depression, but that does not mean they are not suffering. How they feel inside will express itself on the outside, and it usually comes across as suspiciously off, like something feels wrong but you do not know what it is. This is because people often put on a public face to conceal their problems. Story 12. Self-harm can manifest in ways that others may notice, yet it can be easily excused. I tend to pick at my lips, especially when I am struggling mentally. I often cause damage, but it is simple to conceal with makeup or by blaming it on chapped lips. Story 13. These are personal insights that refer to changes in typical behavior. Some individuals may exhibit these behaviors normally or for unrelated reasons, but that is not the focus of this discussion. Obvious signs of rapid weight loss or gain or similar physical changes include a messy appearance and poor hygiene. Less obvious signs include being late more often than usual, especially in the morning, which may indicate excessive sleeping, constantly feeling tired, frequently zoning out, not contributing to conversations, merely listening and nodding to whatever is said, talking less than usual, difficulty making plans, often canceling or being the first to leave during group activities, bloodshot eyes and a puffy face, which may indicate recent crying. Story 14. I do what I need to do, Wake up, shower, go to work, clean the house, do yard work, eat dinner, and go to bed. On weekends, I lay on the couch and do nothing. I cannot stand the general public. One of my favorite hobbies was fishing and hunting, which is no longer possible. There are people everywhere I used to go, and they have no etiquette, which has ruined it for me. Story 15. Multiple job or relationship changes, erratic social media posts, and sudden changes in appearance or behavior. Story 16. The house suddenly looks like a hurricane went through after not hearing from that person for a long time. Story 17. Not responding, taking longer to reply, canceling plans, isolating, weight gain, and declining hygiene. Story 18. A significant sign of loneliness is the extent to which a person expresses gratitude. Chronically lonely individuals often lack love and struggle with low self-esteem. As a result, when someone offers them kind words, they not only feel cared for but, more importantly, they realize that they are capable of being cared for. Story 19. Over-apologizing. You don't need to say sorry multiple times to a person you briefly bumped into. I am unfortunately guilty of doing that. Story 20. I cannot be in public without experiencing heightened anxiety. I struggle to focus and have a short temper. I have lost 60 pounds and do not eat much anymore. My hygiene is not affected, except for shaving. Story 21. Thinking everything and everyone is out to get them or sabotage them. My best friend is going through this right now. She is almost 1,000 miles away, and I do not know how to help her. Story 22. I cry frequently at night and pick at my fingernails, causing my fingertips to bleed. I have several broken, cracked, or missing teeth, but luckily, they are not visible yet. Recently, I got new glasses to replace the old, broken ones I had been wearing and disliking for the past year. I am trying to find a way out of this situation. Story 23. Glued to their phone. That's my hint that I'm trying to dissociate. I also rub behind my ears mindlessly when I use my phone, often causing rawness similar to scalp picking, but it's just behind my ears, not my entire scalp. I tell my hairdresser it's eczema, so she doesn't think I'm unusual. I'm actually doing it now, which is why my account is new, yet I have decent karma. I spend about 18 hours a day commenting on online posts to numb myself, yet I still feel socialized. The odd thing is my life is good. I'm just a wimp, or maybe undiagnosed neurodivergent. One of the two. Story 24. I try to explain to my family that this depression is the worst I have experienced. I do not shower. I do not brush my teeth. I wear the same night dress for days. I have no interest in keeping my house clean or washing dishes. I have obsessive-compulsive disorder, and I cannot clean anything to soothe myself. Story 25. Panic attacks. I experienced one today on the highway. I had planned a little day trip by myself. I am disappointed, but I will try again in a few weeks. I am just frustrated because I really wanted to go, but my anxiety got the best of me. Story 26. Someone who feels the need to always be socially active, like someone who can never stay in on a weekend. Story 27. A complete inability to find joy in anything, considering the hassle of basic events, such as going to a concert, overshadowing any enjoyment of the event itself. Selling personal items and hobby-related goods because you simply cannot be bothered. Being convinced, generally through experience, that very few people, if anyone, care about you or want to associate with you. Being incapable of getting over failures or mistakes. Listening to that internal voice that tells you what a failure you are and how nothing is ultimately going to work out in your favor, even if this is objectively inaccurate. Story 28. These are always such interesting posts. They teach me what to look for in people so I can support them more. Story 29. Excuses can be complicated. I'm not referring to those who make excuses to avoid work and pass it on to someone else. I'm speaking about individuals who genuinely want to engage in an activity but continually create excuses to refrain from it. They want to go to that movie with you, but they claim they are too tired from lack of sleep for the 20th time this month. They want to clean the kitchen, but standing for an extended period to accomplish that is challenging for them. Story 30. My friend is a paramedic and said they have never responded to a report of suicide where the victim's living quarters were not in total disarray. Story 31. When you tell the best joke you've ever told, and instead of laughter, you are asked if everything is okay. Story 32. I am content with failing at my workplace. They were toxic to begin with, and I would have broken my legs for them, but now I would not care if it burns down. Story 33. Getting irrationally angry or feeling overwhelmed by things you tell yourself intellectually are not a big deal, but you just can't shake the feeling. Story 34. Bad hygiene includes greasy hair and face, not showering, and not changing clothes. A messy home, room, or car can also contribute. It is easy to stop caring, but overwhelming when you decide to care. Story 35. I am no longer interested in their hobbies. I constantly see the negative aspects of life. It's all doom and gloom. Story 36. I once came home to find my roommate on the floor, listening to the Toad version of Pumped Up Kicks. Story 37. Finding no joy in what you used to love. You still love your family and friends, but do not want to spend time with them. Feeling overwhelmed by everything, even the simplest tasks seem daunting. Story 38. If you live in the United States and ask, "How are you doing today?" and the answer is anything more negative than okay or fine, something is drastically wrong. Story 39. Giving away several personal possessions with a carefree attitude, such as furniture, electronics, and vehicles. Story 40. Lack of grooming, bathing, brushing hair and teeth, and laundry can indicate changes in well-being. However, early warning signs can vary for each individual. Some may become reclusive, preferring solitude, while others might change their eating, drinking, or substance use behaviors. A disconnect from emotions could manifest as a why do anything attitude. Story 41. Hygiene deteriorating. At my worst, I stopped brushing my teeth. Showers became over a week apart. Shaving occurred once a month, and my clothes went unchanged. Messiness was another issue. Things piled up over time. I did a good job of keeping food and drinks out of my space, but everything else accumulated to the point where I had just a narrow path to my bed and computer. My closet was overflowing with unfinished projects and items I intended to keep that ultimately ended up in the trash. Irregular eating patterns were also present. Sometimes I would skip meals, while at other times I would overeat. A lack of interest in activities emerged as well. I spent more time staring at my video games than actually playing them. I wanted to play, but I also didn't feel motivated to do so. Story 42. This may be niche, but when it feels like weights have been sewn under your skin and you feel like the air is thick, moving or speaking feels literally as impossible as flying. Story 43. I am not doing well mentally. I keep my phone solely on Do Not Disturb. I have completely isolated myself from everyone in my life. I sleep a lot, but that's mostly due to my illness. Just taking a shower is a lot for me. Every night when I say my prayers, I ask God to please not let me wake up tomorrow. I have been praying for that for quite a while, but as you can see, he seems to be ignoring me. The good thing is that I am sober, so I'm not adding drugs and alcohol to this situation. I can't even imagine what that would look like. It would probably be a big mess. Story 44. Personally, when I have been feeling down, I couldn't respond positively to the question, "How are you?" My reply would be that I am surviving or getting by. Story 45. I don't change when I get home. I'm in the military, and when I get home, I change out of my blouse and pants but leave on my undershirt. That's when I realize I need to do something. It's not a problem if I've had just one long day. But when I notice that almost everything in my laundry is military clothes and only 2 days of workout clothes for the weekend, I understand that I have to force myself to do something and interact with people. Story 46. Besides some of the obvious ones, such as hygiene, not wanting to talk to anyone indicates that a person is a loner. It is not screaming, but it does create white noise. Story 47. Voice change is a major sign that many people do not notice. When someone is experiencing a psychotic episode, their accent, tone, or grammar can frequently change unexpectedly. This is not about having a silly voice. It involves a different voice altogether. It is an indication that they are not in their normal mental state. Story 48. I have a classmate who I believe is struggling mentally. Sometimes she hits me lightly, insults me, or yells at me in the middle of class. She doesn't care which teacher is present or who is listening. I confided in her, hoping she would keep my secret private, but she always ends up shouting it to humiliate me in front of others. Story 49. They get angry when you ask how they are doing, avoiding the question and dodging any probing. Do not ask me how I am doing. Story 50. Unfortunately, not much can be said. I can't tell you how many families I have known that refused to believe one of their loved ones committed suicide. No way little Billy downed a whole bottle of pills and hung himself while holding a letter saying, "I can't take it anymore. This is clearly a murder." My boy was not depressed. Mental instability rarely occurs in an instant, and people spend years learning to put on a facade so no one knows. Story 51. When they try to whisper at first, you have to listen. I believe that more often than not, people are trying to tell us, but we just can't process it. Story 52. Believe it or not, bullying is trying to feel good through hurting someone else. It is a sure sign that you are not in a good mental state. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.